Hello, everyone. So today I have a bit of a different approach that I'd like to take with the readings because I'd like to go into more details and not miss out on some of the nuances, which is actually part of the reading that we have today here. So we have Mercury and Jupiter, which I love this wizard in a cosmic library surrounded by books. I relate to this very deeply because I have a very strong Mercury Jupiter in my chart. And then we have the Page of Grains, which is Priscilla in the moment when she teaches the teachers. So this is actually a moment where there's a strong feminine role in the Bible that's very, very crucial and I think perhaps maybe overlooked too. So I'll get into that in a moment. With Mercury Jupiter, we have the aspects of cognition, communication, and mental structure, combining with the concept of expansion, benevolence, and fortune. So we have the gifts of Mercury and Jupiter, which grant a very, you know what? I struggle so much trying to collect my thoughts on the spot here. And I was just about to end the video. But you know what? I'm not going to. And I'm going to leave this part in. You're going to see my struggles. I don't care. Mercury and Jupiter provides a broad vision. Also, the fine details. So Mercury is the fine part. Jupiter is the broad, expansive part. And the combination of the two allows you to move from fine to broad and everywhere in between, which allows you to have a very fully encompassed viewpoint. It allows you to understand things on multiple levels. It allows you to gain new knowledge very quickly, very easily, especially when there are positive Mercury-Jupiter transits happening in the sky. The aspect of Mercury-Jupiter is craving knowledge, craving new forms of communication, and being able to discern between different types of information. So the challenges that come with this are relying too much on intellect, which can kind of focus on abstractions rather than on emotions or experience. There might also be a tendency to gloss over some complexities or some nuances because of a desire to see the bigger picture rather than the small details, especially if those small details pose a problem or kind of get in the way of the bigger picture. So the person who's experiencing the Mercury Jupiter might decide to overlook some of the finer details because it messes with the vision and lashes out, therefore. So that's one of the negative side effects of Mercury Jupiter. The invitations, meaning what can you do with this energy, is learn however you can. Reading, listening to podcasts, and exposing yourself to many different worldviews. It's especially pointed toward religious and philosophical worldviews because that is what helps to expand the mind. So that's Mercury Jupiter in a little bit of a nutshell. The Page of Grains. Now, I want to make a quick note because I made a short video before this one about how I read tarot cards. I don't reverse them physically, but I read the reversals into the card as a whole. So the way that I see it is each card has the positive and the negative built inside of it, and sometimes the way to bring out the positive is to address the negative. So with the Page of Grains, and I did have this open before, so bear with me. So the book that didn't come with the Biblical Tarot, but I got it separately, is so incredibly helpful. It synthesizes the part of the Bible, the story that's associated with it, and gives you the keywords that a lot of the tarot decks also give. So, for example, the keywords for the Page of Greens are learning, opportunity, diligence, practical application, mentorship. And some of the challenges are procrastination, a lack of direction, missed opportunities, underestimation of abilities, and neglect of development. So you can kind of already see how the Page of Greens and the archetypes of Mercury and Jupiter are aligned. They actually embody the same concepts. They have the same qualities. They address the same topics, especially when it comes to learning and opportunities and expanding your worldview. But here's the story of Priscilla. Um, so the verse associated with this is Acts 18:26. And it says, "He began to speak boldly in the synagogue. When Priscilla and Aquila heard him, they invited him to their home and explained to him the way of God more adequately." So Priscilla and her husband, Aquila, tent makers by trade, meet Paul in Corinth. They work and minister alongside Paul, becoming his close friends and fellow tent makers. When Paul leaves Corinth, Priscilla and Aquila accompany him to Ephesus. There they encounter Apollos, who is a persuasive speaker and well versed in the scriptures, yet he did not have full understanding of certain matters. Priscilla and Aquila privately guided Apollos, providing him with a more precise understanding of God's teachings. Through their mentorship, Apollos became a powerful advocate for Christianity. Now, what I truly love about the biblical tarot here, too, is that you don't necessarily have to read it in its context to get the message of the cards across. You can rely on the keywords like you would reading regular tarot cards, because archetypally they are the same. That's why the creator of this was able to create it, because the stories in the Bible all have archetypal qualities, and so do the tarot cards, and they overlap and correlate. So, but the story does provide the context as far as why it's about learning and opportunities and diligence and practical application and mentorship. So we see Apollos is kind of like the representing the negative traits of Mercury and Jupiter. Yes, there is someone who is well versed, but he doesn't fully understand the nuances, right? He's overlooking the complexities. So with mentorship, with guidance, he's then able to understand the complexities of God's messages. Now, there's a little bit more detail as far as the keywords all have a little bit of an explanation, but the what's called the upright meaning and the reversed meanings, again, remember, I see them as being two sides of the same coin. They're both present. So the upright meaning, quote unquote, reflects a time of learning and growth where opportunities for development are embraced with diligence and a practical mindset. There's the Mercury. It portrays a journey toward mastery or the application of skills in meaningful ways, and that's Jupiter mixed with Mercury. So you have learning, embracing new knowledge and skills with enthusiasm and an open mind. That is so Jupiter Mercury. Opportunities, recognizing and seizing chances for growth and development. Again, Jupiter Mercury. Diligence, consistently making an effort to learn and improve oneself. That's the beneficial or the benevolent aspect of Jupiter. Practical application, using newly acquired skills in practical and useful ways. That's taking the abstract and the big picture and bringing it down to earth. That's the Mercury aspect. And then growth, evolving in one's abilities and understanding through steady effort. Well, consistency makes the master. So then the quote unquote reversed meanings or the challenges that might be in play is procrastination, a lack of clear direction, or a failure to seize opportunities. and implies a need to reevaluate one's approach to personal development or education. So, procrastination is delaying or avoiding work or study. Lack of direction is uncertainty about which path to take for personal or professional development. Missed opportunities, overlooking or failing to take advantage of chances to learn or advance. Underestimation of abilities, and this is a big one that plays into a lot of fear that people have about their own abilities, which prevents them from moving forward or learning. Doubting one's potential to learn new skills or improve. And then neglect of development, ignoring the need for ongoing education and skill enhancement. So at the bottom of the page here, it kind of gives a synthesis. Priscilla's example illustrates the importance of lifelong learning, teaching, and the positive impact these endeavors have on individual growth and community support, while also cautioning against the pitfalls that can prevent personal and communal advancement. So, you kind of now can see how these two correlate. And what I love about pulling two different cards from two different decks is finding these connections and how spot on they are. Because there are 55 cards in this deck, and this is a standard tarot deck with 78 cards. I shuffle both of them before picking them. So, what really are the odds that I pick two things that fit so perfectly together? And actually, they're a lot higher than you think because there are connections, archetypal connections between every single pairing of cards that I have pulled. And that is also why I wanted to go more in detail with them, because now we're at 12 minutes, 4 times as long as I have been making them. Talk about Mercury, Jupiter, which, by the way, I believe right now Mercury's in Pisces making a square to Jupiter in Gemini. So we have uh, another physical correlation with that. Whenever I pull these, oftentimes it's easy to find either a transit or a natal aspect that's being made with it. So there's always some sort of relevance. So, with all of this being said, me doing this for you is my way of expressing personal development. It's my way of expressing the or rather than my way of studying and trying to teach and trying to learn to be a better teacher and hoping that I do provide something beneficial and useful for you, because there's a mixture of doing this for myself, for my own self-understanding, and then taking that self-understanding and hopefully making it practical. And that, I think, is truly the essence behind both Mercury, Jupiter, and the Page of Grains as Priscilla and her husband teaching. So, if you stuck around for this, thank you so much. If you'd like to have a reading with me, you can message me. I will leave something in the description. And I hope that you go out there, that you develop yourself, that you chase after the skills that you're hoping to learn, and that you can do something that you really love to do. Oh, my clicker died.